He tried to intimidate the human recruit. Seconds later, he was begging for mercy. The training facility on Kepler Station buzzed with nervous energy as recruits from across the galaxy gathered for their first day of Galactic Defense Force orientation. Among the towering Zephyrians, crystalline silicoids, and gas-breathing Vortans stood a single human, small, unremarkable, and completely out of place. Drill Sergeant Krazith, a 7-foot-tall draconian with scales like armor plating and claws that could shred steel, surveyed the new batch of recruits with predatory satisfaction. His yellow eyes, each the size of a human fist, lingered on the human with particular interest. "What do we have here?" Krazith's voice rumbled like distant thunder as he approached the human recruit. The other trainees instinctively stepped back, forming a circle around the unfolding confrontation. A little pink skin thinks it can play soldier with real warriors. The human, whose name tag read Chen M, stood perfectly still, hands clasped behind his back, eyes forward. He was barely 5.5 feet tall, dwarfed by nearly every other being in the room. Krazith leaned down, his massive head hovering inches from Chen's face. His breath reeked of sulfur and rotting meat. "I've heard stories about your pathetic species, weak, slow, no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. Tell me, little human, what makes you think you belong here?" Chen's voice was calm, almost conversational. "Permission to demonstrate, Drill Sergeant?" The question caught Krazith off guard. Most recruits would be trembling by now, stammering apologies or backing down. The audacity of this tiny creature requesting to demonstrate anything was almost amusing. "Oh, this should be entertaining," Krazith laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "Very well, Pinkskin. Show us what pathetic skills your species possesses." The draconian straightened to his full height, spreading his arms wide in a gesture of mock welcome. "Come then, show me what you've got." Chen moved. One moment he was standing motionless 3 feet away. The next he was inside Krazith's guard. The human's movements were fluid, economical, almost casual. His right hand struck a specific point just below the draconian's left elbow, a spot where the natural armor plate separated to allow joint movement. Krazith's arm went instantly numb. Before he could react, Chen's left hand found another gap in the armor at the base of his neck. The draconian's vision blurred as crucial nerve clusters were compressed with surgical precision. "Human study," Chen said quietly, as Krazith stumbled backward. "We observe, we learn, we adapt." The massive alien swung his right arm in a wild arc, claws extended. Chen simply wasn't there anymore. He had flowed around the attack like water, ending up behind the draconian. A gentle push at the right moment sent Krazith crashing to the floor. "Your species relies on natural advantages," Chen continued, his tone remaining conversational as the drill sergeant struggled to regain his footing. "Superior strength, armor, claws, venom. You never learn to fight without them." Krazith roared in fury and pain, launching himself at the human with all his considerable mass. Chen sidestepped and guided the charge into the nearest wall. The impact rang throughout the facility like a bell. Humans had none of those advantages, Chen explained to the stunned audience of recruits. "So we developed something else. We became the greatest predators our planet had ever seen, not through strength, but through intelligence, persistence, the ability to turn any environment, any tool, any weakness into an advantage." The draconian pushed himself off the wall. Scales cracked, one eye swelling shut. He was breathing heavily, confusion replacing his earlier confidence. Nothing in his experience had prepared him for this. The human was treating their confrontation like a lecture, dismantling him piece by piece while explaining the process. "You want to know what makes humans special?" Chen asked, circling the much larger alien with predatory grace. "We don't just fight. We wage war. Not just with weapons, but with our minds. We study our enemies until we know them better than they know themselves." Krazith lunged again, desperation driving him now. Chen caught the draconian's arm, used his own momentum against him, and sent him tumbling across the floor in a perfect judo throw. Before Krazith could rise, Chen was beside him, one hand positioned precisely over a nerve cluster that would paralyze the alien's entire left side if pressed. "Your anatomy is in our databases," Chen said softly. "Every pressure point, every weak spot, every biological vulnerability of every known species. We've been preparing for this day for generations." The fight went out of Krazith completely. Here was this tiny, fragile-looking creature who had just dismantled him, a decorated combat veteran, with the casual efficiency of a technician performing routine maintenance. The human hadn't even broken a sweat. "Please," Krazith whispered, the word coming out as a barely audible hiss. "I yield." Chen stepped back immediately, offering his hand to help the Draconian to his feet. "Humans also value mercy, Drill Sergeant, and respect for those who acknowledge when they've been beaten." Krazith stared at the offered hand for a long moment, before accepting it. As Chen helped him stand, the Draconian's worldview shifted fundamentally. These humans weren't just another species seeking membership in the Galactic Defense Force. They were something unprecedented, a race that had evolved not just to survive, but to master the art of warfare itself. How was all Krazith could manage. Chen smiled, the first emotion he had shown during the entire encounter. "Millennia of practice, Drill Sergeant. We've been fighting each other longer than your species has had spaceflight. We turned conflict into science, strategy into art. When humanity finally reached the stars, we didn't just bring our technology." He gestured to include all the watching recruits. "We brought 10,000 years of military evolution." The training facility was dead silent. Every recruit, regardless of species, was staring at the human with a mixture of awe and terror. This small, unarmored, seemingly defenseless creature had just systematically defeated one of the most feared drill sergeants in the entire GDF, Krazith, straightened as much as his injuries would allow, and looked down at Chen with newfound respect. "Recruit Chen," he said formally. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Force." From that day forward, the human section of the GDF became the most feared and respected unit in the galaxy. Not because of their physical prowess, but because of something far more dangerous, their minds. And somewhere in the files of every major military academy across 1,000 worlds, a new addendum appeared in the strategic doctrine manuals. When engaging human forces expect the unexpected, they have turned war itself into their greatest weapon.